Welcome to Sharing Our Cultures. This is the place where you get to meet amazing individuals from around the world who are making significant contributions to the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Joining me today is Dr. Paul Issahaku. He's the Associate Professor in the School of Social Work at Memorial University. Welcome back to Sharing Our Cultures. And joining me today in what's going to be a very interesting conversation is Dr. Paul Alhassan Issahaku. Welcome to Sharing Our Cultures.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here today.
Yes, we're really happy to have you. I know you're the Associate Professor in the School of Social Work at Memorial University.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what courses you teach, maybe?
Okay. Yeah. I teach a number of courses. One is community development, so social work practice in community development. I also teach social work practice with groups. Okay. Then I teach social work research, okay. And both at the bachelor's level and at the PhD level. Okay. I do groups both at the bachelor's level and at the master's level.
Okay. Thank you.
And I also teach a course which we refer to as an introduction to social work practice. So anyone wanting to go into social work must do that course, which is 1710 Philosophy and Practice of Social Work.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's a lot of work. Yeah. And I know you've been doing a lot of research, and we're like really interested in some of those research topics and areas that are of interest to you.
Okay. I think I position myself as a family welfare scholar. I also see myself as a public health scholar. Mm-hmm. So what do I mean by this? I'm interested in issues and factors and forces that impact the family. And so every member of the family is of interest to me. So I do research on topics that have relevance for family welfare. So anything that affects the well-being of members of the family, I want to understand and then influence policy in that regard. So some of the topics that I look into in my research will include domestic violence or an intimate partner violence. I'm also interested in child abuse and neglect. I also do research on aging and older adults. And then I am interested in how young people are included or excluded, you know, in their communities. So exclusion, one aspect of exclusion would be something like homelessness, youth homelessness. It means that they are not very much engaged or included in their communities. So my research interest actually cuts across all these areas, but the focus is on family welfare, the focus is on public health.
Right. Wow, that covers quite a lot. Yeah. Now, I want to zero in on one aspect of that, at least your current research study.
Okay. Currently, my focus for the past 2-3 years has been on aging and older adults. So I've come to take a very keen interest in research on older adults. In Canada, I think they call them seniors. So on seniors. And I do that both in my home country, Ghana, and here in Canada. So my research on aging and older adults actually aims to make some 3 points. One, I see that older adults experience what we call ageism. Right, so some kind of discriminatory attitudes and behaviors and practices towards older adults. My research seeks to highlight that and bring that to the attention of policymakers as well as practitioners and indeed community members because they live in communities. So that's one issue. My research also aims to highlight the fact that older adults are not a homogeneous, demographic group because some form of research will be painting them as a homogeneously broken demographic group. So if you look at older adults, what you see would be they are sick, they are weak. Let's confine them to long-term care facilities or, respite homes or something like that. No. I want to emphasize that this is not a homogeneous demographic group. you have differences and diversity in this group, there are some who still come with strengths and what we call social agency. So they still can contribute, they still can offer a lot, you know, to the community and to the society in general. And one notion of retirement. So it looks like when you are retired, then you are done. You know, you don't make any meaningful contribution, you know, to society. I want to challenge that in my research. So I'm going to them and learning from them what is it that they are still committed to and contributing, you know, even beyond retirement, so that I bring that to the attention of you know, whoever cares to, you know, to listen, and so that, you know, we can change the way we do practice and policy regarding older adults. But I also want to highlight that, right, like any demographic group in our society, older adults need support, right? You talk about children, talk about women, talk about every demographic group in society needs support. So my research also aims to highlight the fact that older adults need support, right? Rather than construct them as mere consumers. So if you talk about healthcare, it's like they are a burden on the healthcare system. No, they just need support just as any other. And we talk about wealthy people. They still need support, right? Mm-hmm. And if you look at the way we frame our taxation policy and all that, we are actually giving support to, you know, wealthy people. That's the, and in many societies, you don't see that much willingness to provide support to older adults, especially in my home country, Ghana, and other, you know, West African countries. So I really want to bring that to, you know, policymakers' attention, that they need support, and we need to, you know, think of giving them, you know, the kind of support. And we don't determine what support they need for them. We go to them and find out how we could better support them, you know, to live their older adulthood. These are some of the things I highlight currently. And I say I do that both in Ghana and here in Canada. So currently I'm just doing interviews with seniors here in Newfoundland. Right. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And when we think, you mentioned about the agency.
Yeah.
What have you found so far in terms of what seniors or older adults can bring and contribute to the community?
Okay, so I just give you an example of what has come up in some of my interviews. So if you look at the Newfoundland and Labrador context, we have what you call a youth council, a youth advisory council. So, you know, government is saying that, oh, we need the young people to make an input into, you know, policies that affect them. And policies affect everyone in the society. Why don't we have a seniors council to make input into policy formulation? We don't have that. So but you see, the old tradition says that old age is wisdom. Okay? Because experience is wisdom. So they have lived through various things. They have learned lessons as they have gone through life. What are we learning from them to influence, you know, policy that affects them and affects, you know, family members that they care about? So that's one thing. The ideas, the wisdom they have is part of the agency that we should tap into. But many of them, whether they are sick or not sick, are making efforts to actually provide care for grandchildren, right? That's another aspect of the agency. So in most instances, you see that the parent themselves, they are not available. Either they are at work pursuing various things, or something for some other reason, they are not close to their child. And you see grandparents, older adults, actually providing, you know, this type of care to their grandchildren. You know, so that's one other aspect of agency being highlighted. You also see that most of them, they feel that, oh, at this point in time, money is not my issue. I'm not looking to be rich anymore. So any little that they have, they are willing to donate to support good causes in society. And not only donating, you know, the little they have, but even time. Their time. They want to volunteer, right? These are all aspects of the agency that, you know, older adults, seniors, they have and they can bring to the table. But how are we creating, what conditions are we creating to actually enable and empower them to come with what they have to contribute to society? Those are some of the issues, you know, that are coming up in the investigations. Yes.
So far, what would you recommend and how would you see them being able to, at least the government or, you know, a province being able to harness that kind of contribution that they could bring?
So I will just highlight what I'm intending with the current project that I've just mentioned. So they are identifying barriers, right, to their efforts to contribute, you know, to society. Those barriers, we need to, you know, tackle them. One way of tackling the barriers is to facilitate their mobility, okay? Their means of moving from one place, because they want to visit places and actually give counsel or advice, but mobility is an issue for a good number of them. So how do we make the public transit system actually friendly to seniors so they can move around and go to places to contribute? So that's one thing. Another thing is that I am learning from them what a seniors friendly healthcare system looks like, so that when I go into that healthcare system, I feel welcome, I feel comfortable, I feel respected as a senior, and I feel I get the best of treatment that I need. And I'm learning that. So to shape, you know, the healthcare system. And what is coming up very strongly is the fact that if seniors don't feel that our physicians and nurses get the kind of training they should get so that they are like friendly to seniors. So something is missing in the education system. So they will be talking about how, say, medication is dumped on seniors, like without considering what their preferences and even their own suggestions as to how they will be treated. So you have many physicians just prescribing, so it's like, take this and go, don't bother me, right? This is, you know, this is coming up in what I'm actually, so to bring all that together and target, you know, audiences to present that to and say, what do you commit to doing in order to make things better for our seniors? And I'm also even looking at how they feel we handled the COVID pandemic and how it affected seniors. And they are seeing, you know, gaps, loopholes in the way and that, you know, COVID was handled. And some of them feel that it was fear-mongering, and that just further sort of scares seniors, pushes them into isolation, mentally, you know, so a lot of mental health issues connected to isolation because of the fear-mongering that they felt. I mean, some of them have lived through some other issues in the past, so they can make comparative analysis and see, you know, the way things are going, which they feel no.
Okay, I'm going to let you hold that thought for a minute. Okay. We're going to take a short break and come back and hear, oh, this is really fascinating work that you're doing. And Sharing Our Cultures will be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Sharing Our Cultures, and we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Issahaku. I know that you have also completed research with young people, and I'm interested in that as well.
Okay. So I think 2018, 2019, yeah, I completed a research project with young people. And indeed, I currently also have another project, which I'm really struggling with. COVID has come in and recruitment is, you know, an issue. So to get participants is not quite easy these days. We are hoping that as we open up, yeah, so that one was to look at, as I mentioned, you know, barriers to their being socially included or engaged in their communities, as well as opportunities for inclusion. So it wasn't only just looking at barriers, but to what extent are they included, right? All right, so that was what the project emphasized on. And very interesting sort of findings are coming, you know, out of this project. So they have barriers, and the barriers, you can look at them in terms of micro, so at the personal level, some issues that they are, you know, struggling with at the personal level, which will serve as a barrier to their being engaged. So say if you are not quite well, right, you are sick, right, then it limits the extent to which you can actually participate in what is going on in the community. So some of them highlighted, you know, some of those things. Then another thing will be how others' behaviors in the community poses a threat to you, so you don't feel safe enough to actually go out and get engaged in activities. So they talk about how, you know, drunk driving and careless driving, you know, along the streets will scare some of them because they don't have means of, they don't have cars, so that they are also driving. Some of them will be walking, and the way people drive in town is a, you know, scary something for them. So why don't I just stay in rather than expose myself to the danger? But they also, another thing is that in the public parks, along the streets and common places, people carelessly dispose of things that can pose a threat. So needles, condoms, broken bottles, things of the sort they feel are a threat. So they don't feel comfortable going to places to participate. They also think that, I mean, there are instances where people assault you. So for the fear of assault, they don't want to go into places. But also highlighted amongst them is the fact that with low income or coming from a low income family, your opportunities for engaging are actually very limited, because for some of the activities you may have to pay a fee to be part, and then you don't have the money. So poverty or low income, it will act as a barrier to you participating in some of the activities. So a number of those things, but then opportunities also exist. And indeed, the opportunities revolve around community-based agencies and the services they are providing to youth. So the agencies like Thrive will feature very prominently in their narratives that, oh, Thrive is really helping us so well because they provide opportunities. If I don't have anywhere to go to participate in social activities, at least there is Thrive. If I'm hungry and I need food, at least there is the Bridges to Hope where I can go and get, you know, so surprisingly, it's the community-based agencies that provide opportunities young people feel for them to be socially included, not that much from the side of government. So that was a contrast or contradiction for me, because one of the pillars that, you know, informed my project was the fact that in Newfoundland and Labrador, as I have said, we have the Youth Advisory Council. And there is another, the premiers, there is the premiers something too. So but young people did not make any references to something on the side of government which makes them feel included, socially engaged. So I'm still asking those questions, you know, because I'm still really analyzing the data. So why is it so? You have policy here, but then in practice, young people don't see government enabling them to get socially engaged. A big piece of the social engagement that they talked about from the point of view of the community agencies will be, oh, if even I dropped out of school, they have programs for me to be able to get what they call GED, you know? And then they engage them with entrepreneurial development activities. So I would say community-based agencies are the fulcrum around which young people's social engagement here, as far as my research is concerned, that's what it revolves around. So government needs to do something, either to empower the community-based agents to do more for young people's engagement, or also to set up, you know, programs funded by the government, coming from the provincial budget, to actually support young people to get engaged. Remember that education is a big piece, especially post-secondary. And so young people were saying that if we are rather increasing the fees at the post-secondary level, then you are further marginalizing them, especially those coming from low income. Then they will not be able to afford the fee. So they are socially engaged. Remember, sometimes education matters for where you can go to an interview and succeed, right? So if you don't facilitate their further education, that's further marginalization. Yeah, so these are some of the things coming up in the work on young people. And it's still a work in progress. What I'm currently trying to look at would be to learn from them. What are some of the factors responsible for violence in the community? And what do they think we can do? Right? Because young people are criminalized, many of them, as though, you know? So I want to learn from them what violence looks like, who is responsible, who are the perpetrators, what can we do? What are the health implications, so that we can inform policy from their point of view. Okay.
Yes, yeah, that's a very relevant and timely project, but very important as well and vital for young people.
Yeah.
We're so happy that you're here bringing all this experience and knowledge. How did you choose to come to this province?
Okay. Maybe it was by accident.
Okay, tell us about it.
So I completed my PhD here in Canada at the University of Toronto, right? And then while I was here, I mean, like everyone else, maybe this is not right, not true, but maybe like many other people, whilst here, I applied for a PR, permanent residence. So yeah, I completed in 2012, went back to Ghana, you know, to University of Ghana to teach. So while in Ghana, then they approved of the PR. All right. So, and I included every member of my family in the application. Right. So we got the PR, came and landed, you know, in 2013. And we stayed only for 2 weeks. We just wanted to come and satisfy the landing requirements. Then I went back because I had a teaching job with University of Ghana. So do I forget about this PR? Because you know the condition. Like if you stay away continuously for like 2 years, then you lose the something. So we're really struggling with this, myself and my wife, you know. But then Paul, my friend, the other Paul, kept encouraging me, please, you guys should come. You guys should. And I said, oh, unless there is something for me in Canada that I should come and take, I don't think I will leave my job in Ghana and come here just like that. Right? So he was actually on the lookout for a job. Then there was an opening here at MAN, right? And he encouraged me to apply. I applied, And then I don't know what happened, and they gave me the job.
You
right?
were qualified.
So then my wife also said, oh yes, let's at least, and then, and one thing is that I was in the US for my master's. My wife visited twice. When I was here for my PhD for 5 years, she didn't come. She was angry with me. She didn't come. So yes, so they hadn't visited Canada until then. And then our 4 children. We said, okay, yeah, maybe let's expose the children too, right? So it was something like that, which actually, you know, made me move to Newfoundland and Labrador, because, you know, I got the job at MAN, and, you know, the family also wanted to experience Canada, because the 2 weeks of London wasn't anything, right? So I guess that's how I came to be in Newfoundland and Labrador.
It's really been a pleasure having you here with us and learning so much about what you do and your contributions to this province. Very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Sharing Our Cultures will be right back. Thanks to Dr. Paul Issahaku and to you for watching. Join us again next time and meet remarkable individuals from around the world who are making significant contributions to Newfoundland and Labrador.